Time for this week's Talkback segment now with the Pacific Coast Business Times. Jake Piazza joins us now live. Good afternoon to you, Jake.
Hi, Beth.
Hi there. Now, the Pac Biz just published your health-related article about the Surgicenter on De La Vina. This is big medical news when it comes to arthroscopic surgeries. Talk more about this.
Yes, so this big development, it's an arthroscopic camera known as the ArthroFreeze. And it's really important because it cuts down on the total time in operating rooms for a number of reasons. But one is because there's no cords attached to this camera. It's completely wireless. And so in operating rooms, things need to be sterilized. And while if there's wires attached to an arthroscopic camera, those need to be sterilized too. But with the ArthroFreeze, there's no cords. So it really cuts down on the setup and the takedown time. And then on top of that, if you think about it, you're in an operating room and it's a very high pressure environment. You can't afford to be tripping on things like a cord. And so that's just completely removed from the equation. So from a safety standpoint for the people actually doing the surgeries, it's also a really big development.
And this actually happens in an operating room. People may not be aware because perhaps they don't undergo surgeries, but there are times where people actually trip over the cords.
Yeah, and I think this anecdote can really sum up the impact of it well. It's from the CEO and co-founder of the company, Eugene Malinsky, and it was his inspiration for starting the company was he was observing an operating room for an unrelated reason, and he saw someone literally about to perform surgery and trip over one of these cords. And so he's sitting here, and it's 2014, 2015 at the time of this, and wondering, with all this technological advancements we've had, how are there still cords attached to these arthroscopic cameras? And so, we're 7-8 years later now, and he's created a device that has solved that issue.
Great solution. So ArthroFree received FDA approval just last year. Now, why is this significant for the local Surgicenter and for local patients?
It's significant because here in Southern California, this is the first place at De La Vina Surgicenter to be using it. Dr. Christopher Proctor has really been on the cutting edge of a lot of technology in the medical field, but specifically with the ArthroFree. It's a company that he has been involved with for a few years. He's actually an investor in it himself, but he did some work as well just in the feedback process for Eugene Malinsky and his team, and helping them tweak the camera a little bit to get it to the point that it's at today, to where it's FDA approved and ready to roll for surgeons across the country.
And I know in your article you touched on lighting for this type of technology versus lighting for the older type of technology that plugs in. Is this technology really better overall?
Yes, and it really is, because the lighting is a huge issue in arthroscopic surgeries, because arthroscopic cameras need a really, really bright light. Well, when those cameras have a cord attached to it and it's plugged into a wall, that's not that much of an issue from a power source standpoint. But when they're wireless like this, it needed a battery that could both power a light that was bright enough and for a duration of time that was significant enough for surgery. And so for that reason, the ArthroFree really is better, because it allows surgeons to still do all of the things that they could before, but now it has this additional mobility with no cords, shorter time in the operating room, and just generally more safe.
And really quick last question, how long does the battery last?
So the pack comes with 3 batteries, and each battery lasts an hour. And usually surgeries can be done in an hour, but in the event that they're not, it's not very difficult to replace the batteries. And it's actually relatively standard practice to have a break during arthroscopic surgeries in general. So during those breaks, they can be switched out.
All right, happening right here in Santa Barbara at the Surgicenter. Jake Piazza, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. And we'll go ahead and post this information on our website as well. You take good care.
Thank you, Beth.